haven't learned anything.
There's nothing to learn from that.
There's nothing you learned from that.
Something about jellyfish, and what else was there? There was this fella, there was a programme on the telly about survival, and a fella who he looks after elephants, and he's in this little hang glider looking for an elephant that he's looking after. He has to keep a track on where it's going and all that. And one day he's saying, "Oh, I haven't seen the elephant today," and the fella's like, well, look for it tomorrow. He's like, "No, it's best if I go and look for it now, because it might go further away or something." He said, "Oh, I wish you'd leave it, till tomorrow." So straight away you're going, "Oh, this is trouble." So he's going out in his glider, sort of at night. He's looking for the elephant.
It's a glider.
It's a glider with an engine. It's one of the
light aircraft then.
Yeah. So he gets in that on his own. He's wandering about in the air, looking down. Like I say, it's loads of land. He's looking for one elephant. He's not having much luck. Anyway, I think he gets to the point when he goes, "Oh, I'm having no luck, I might as well go home." Goes to turn round. Something happens. The glider falls to the floor, crashes.
Light aircraft.
Yeah. That crashes. He gets out. He's broke his legs. Done his back in. His hands. I mean, he's in a bad way. And he looks at the plane, and that's a wreck. Petrol's coming out of it. He's thinking that's not going to fly again. And he has to lie there, doesn't he, for like 48 hours or something. And in that time, everything's being chucked at him. He has a lion wandering around him. A scorpion walked over his leg. Some sort of dangerous snake went in his shoe. Yeah. What else is there out there? Some sort of bad ants. Just everything that's there that could cause a problem. He had it all in his life.
I haven't seen this, but I suspect there's a lot of conjecture in this telling of it.
Bad ants.
Bad ants.
No, just anything that you could think of that's out there to cause you a bit of a problem.
Camels.
He got hot. He got so hot his lips fell off. No, because you have to have a lot of juice to keep your lips sort of how they are.
Right.
So that's the sort of state he was in.
Yeah.
48 hours. And yet he survived in the end. Someone came and found him.
And you thought you were bored doing nothing?
Yeah, no. Well,
he didn't even have the internet.
Yeah, but he had a lot of insects.
What would you do then if you landed, right? Supposing we all land, right? We're shipwrecked, okay? There's no food around. But there's a chance we might be saved, like, in a few days. We just got to stay alive just for a few days, okay? Steve offers up his penis.
For what purpose?
Well, it's already, you've torn it in the plane crash anyway, so it's hanging off. You go, okay, listen, lads, let's eat this. This will go 3 ways.
I should be so lucky. Okay, fine, yeah.
I'll look for something else. Because we're surrounded by water. Why are we eating knob? There's loads of fish and everything. There's more fish in the sea than there is stuff on land. That was something else that I've read about how there's more sea life happening. There's loads more.
What do you mean? Than what?
Than stuff happening on land.
Well, yeah, it's a bigger place, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's more. They're all coming further in because it's getting so crowded. Everything's being pushed outwards. So we're going to get to a point where people won't go walking in the sea because there'll be something deadly just floating about near the shore.
Again, that's no information at all.
I don't know.
There's no information in that statement at all.
Yeah, I said how the sea is so overcrowded that everything's being pushed to the edge.
It's not overcrowded.
It is.
You mean things that are in the sea are being pushed to the edge of the sea?
Yeah, because there's new stuff happening all the time. There's new creatures being made, they're changing quickly. They were saying how, like, I don't know, 50 years ago, jellyfish didn't even have a sting.
That's rubbish. Try 50 million and you'll get closer to the truth.
But what I mean is, in terms of, like, land, we all look the same, don't we? We've had 2 legs and 2 arms for ages. Whereas in the sea, things are changing at a really fast rate. So, like, jellyfish we're knocking about.
The sea is a much more stable environment than the land anyway.
What are you on about?
Well, I'd have thought I wouldn't have thought evolution is any faster in the sea than land.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no, where's the evidence for this?
The
Well, I'm
internet.
telling you how jellyfish have changed. And look at them.
And how have they changed then? So they didn't. 50 years ago, they didn't have a sting.
Yeah.
Now they have.
Trilbies, they wore trilbies 50 years ago as well.
And they just spoke with a much more, refined accent.
Just that is quite a lot, though, isn't it? Because jellyfish are nothing.
But
like
no,
I
you've
said to
made
you
that
before.
up. That's not a fact. There's no facts come out of this discussion. Not, oh, that's interesting. That you haven't said anything. Jellyfish haven't changed in 50 years.
No, they have. They've changed a lot in terms of...
Well, they haven't changed in hundreds of millions of years, so I don't know what the 60s had to do with anything. I just don't know what influence the Beatles and Mary Quant suddenly had on jellyfish, where they hadn't
Because
changed for hundreds of millions of years.
With all this sort of loose, free sex, free love, they were just going berserk.
I know, yeah.
There were no inhibitions amongst the jellyfish anymore.
Things are changing a lot. To think that jellyfish, when they first came out, they were nothing. Jellyfish are nothing, aren't they? They're just a blob. So
When they first came out,
I
when
know.
they were first released.
New by Ron Kell.
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, even though they were nothing, they've grown to have a bit of something, just to get by in a busy place.
I
Which
don't
is the
know
sea.
what you're talking about. It's all guesswork and
It's
conjecture.
not guesswork. I've been
It's
up
all
all week. I've been
nonsense.
reading all this and watching stuff.
Carl, you haven't learned anything.
Well, that's not entirely true, because he's obviously learnt enough to have written a poem about some of these subjects.
Oh, I love his poems. Are you getting into poetry now, properly?
I really like it. Yeah.
Is Carl going to read this for me, Steve?
If you want him to.
I think so.
I did one about my kidneys.
What was it called?
Didn't have a name. It doesn't need it.
Ode to a Nephron.
Right, I did 2 about jellyfish.
Excellent.
I don't like jellyfish. They're not a fish. They're just a blob. They don't have eyes, fins, or scales like a cod. They float about blind, stinging people in the seas, and no one eats jellyfish with chips and mushy peas. Get rid of them. And then there's just a shorter one about a jellyfish. It would be spiteful to put jellyfish in a trifle.
Yeah, it certainly was.
So,
That's great! That's really good! Because it's jelly. He's done us this, Steve.
Yeah.
That's a really good poem. It would be spiteful to put jellyfish in a trifle.
yeah.
A little half rhyme.
Yeah.
Do you want the one about my kidneys?
Yeah.
For God's sake, me belly ache. The doctor said it's me kidney. He said he's got to stick a tube up me knob. I said, you got to be kidding me. For God's sake, knob ache.
Oh God! I'm sort of mildly disappointed that they're quite good.
Yeah.
No poet's ever written about jellyfish and kidneys. It's great! Oh God, I think you might have the market sewn up there. It would be spiteful to put a jellyfish in a trifle. I mean, I'm both impressed and fascinated and worried by Carl's new literary outlook.
Yeah.
You know, we've said to him, we've tried to make him appreciate the arts and poetry and explaining like what metaphor does and symbolism and all that. But I'm worried it'll backfire, because what if he becomes clever and erudite and then we lose our little endless well of stupidity? What if we lose our little shaved monkey? I mean, these podcasts without,
It's almost like he were evolving into a human.
I mean, you've authored a book.
Well, I have to say, I mean, without at the risk of sounding like we're shamelessly promoting it, I've only just looked at the book today, because that's the first time I've seen it, The World of Karl Pilkington, and I was very impressed by how legitimate it feels. I mean, it does feel like an actual
Well,
book.
he's put so much work into it. I mean,
He's done drawings, he's done extra thoughts and ideas, and it's very odd to think that has probably gone now into the British Library, which I think is obligated to take a copy of every book published.
Incredible.
I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be on anyone's bookshelf, it'll be on their lavatory cistern, possibly next to their bed. But nevertheless, it's hardback and it's got pages, it's a real book.
Yeah.
Will you now read some great works? Will you read poetry at all? Or?
Probably not. I don't like reading made-up stories because
Fiction.
life's interesting enough, innit?
Right.
If I'm going to read someone else's lies, I might as well make some of my own up and save me money. Is what I mean.
But you do read lies and made-up things. You just take them as the truth. Most of the spurious facts and apocryphal tales and ridiculous stories that you read on the internet are, fiction.
Yeah, but as long as it gets you thinking, then it really doesn't matter. Say, like, I was telling you about the sea being full up,
Yeah.
right? How there's too many fish in it, and they're all being pushed out. Then, it was saying about how the jellyfish is changing
Yeah.
from a bit back, just being a blob, to now being a blob with stingy bits. You go, and then...
No, I don't. I wonder what he read.
And
I wonder what he was reading.
then I'll think of what other things are in the sea, how are they changing? And then that's when I might do a poem about an octopus with two heads. Because it's got me thinking. So no longer am I just reading someone else's story, spending a full week reading some other story. I've read a little paragraph, and that's got me thinking about
it's
an
inspired
octopus
you to make great art.
with an octopus with two heads. And you just think, yeah, that would work. That's a good way for them to evolve. They've got all the arms, give them two heads.
They've got all the arms.
And, it would work, because like I've said to you before, it is one big head, to make it two smaller heads. So it's just looking at science, looking at how things can move.
It's not looking at
But it's
science.
not looking at science. You then speculating on an octopus having two heads is of no value, is it, to anyone or anything?
But there's people out there who are bringing out books who are writing stuff like that for sci-fi stuff. And I think, why am I reading
But that's
theirs?
entertainment. Everyone knows it's not true. They're doing it to...
But they do more than just say, wouldn't it be great if there was an octopus with two heads? They then paint a world in which this octopus exists
I
and
can do
presumably
that.
causes some kind of narrative interest.
I can do that on my own, though, without...
So what's the story of the octopus with two heads?
It's happier in the end. Everyone likes happy ending. He's got company.
But that's not a story, Carl. What? Tell us the story.
What, you made up a story about an octopus with two heads?
No, I'm just saying... I've thought about how the sea's changing. Right, what else is in the sea? Octopus. Right, what's an octopus like? Well, it's just a big head with a load of arms. Right, how would I change that?
I love this thought process.
But it's not a story. This is not a story. It's not anything. It's just some thoughts you've had. It's not...
But a story is there to make you think and have thoughts.
But what is it that you've thought? You've not... I don't see what you've thought here.
I've just thought, yeah, that'd be alright.
I know, but...
Well, like King Kong then. That's only someone who's gone, oh, monkeys are getting better at stuff.
Yes, but it has a story, doesn't it? They go in search...
No, it isn't. It isn't saying monkeys are getting better at stuff. That's not what it's saying. There's lots of themes, but that's not one of them.
Monkeys are getting better at stuff.
No, they're getting better at stuff. The way they try to he tried to go out with a woman. That's them moving on, isn't it? It's the monkey going, do you know what? I quite fancy her. And from the beginning, that is a story that you go, well, that relationship ain't going to work. Do you know what I mean? I've not gone out with women who I've quite fancied, but then they smoke, and you go, oh, that's enough to put me off. Yeah. So, when a monkey's that big, the thought wouldn't even pass my mind.
To go on a date.
This could work out. Sometimes it's just, relationships aren't made for each other. Now, that for a story, you wouldn't think it'd go past page 1. Yet you're having a go at me because an octopus has got two heads. Which isn't that weird. When you look at them anyway, they must be the weirdest thing knocking about on the planet. I'm not kidding you. I've never seen anything so weird. And yet...
he's angry because he's not seen anything so weird as an octopus. So
it's not yet a story.
What's weird about it? What's strange about an octopus with all the things that could...
Why is it any weirder than a dog? Because
it couldn't be further away from us. A dog has got human eyes. If a jellyfish had a pair of eyes like ours, I probably wouldn't worry about him that much. But like I said to you, it's that way that they haven't got eyes, they're floating about. I can handle some fish. They look like us. They've got eyes. You can make eye-to-eye contact with them.
When
A jellyfish, what are you looking at? It's a snidey thing, like I've said to you. You can see a lot in eyes. Do you know what I mean? You say, don't trust him. Why? It's his eyes. Jellyfish haven't even got any, and I don't trust them. Whereas if Adam, maybe there'd be the odd one that I'd go, oh, that one's alright.
Okay, Carl, I'm just going to throw an animal at you. Tell me how weird it is, what bits annoy you, how you change it. Okay? A crab.
How would I change it?
Yeah. Does it annoy you? Do you think it's weird?
They are weird, but they're at that size where they can get away with it.
Yeah, it suits them. Okay, good.
Would I change anything? In a way, you know, what you're saying about things not working, he can't walk forwards. So why hasn't something happened? Why haven't they said, do you know what, these arms are too clumsy. We need to have them so they can slot away easier, and we can pull them out when we need them, instead of clumping around with them. Because they do struggle. You see them struggling with their arms. Yet they're still here, they're still doing that, they're still designed that way.
What's the weirdest animal? So you think the octopus is the weirdest animal on Earth?
Yeah. In terms of design and everything, and if you lined everything up, say if I'd come from another planet, and everything was lined up in a row, and they said, right, we're going to give you a crash course in what's knocking about on this planet.
Yeah.
And you go, right, go on then. And you go, this is man, here's a woman, here's a dog, here's a cat, here's an octopus, I go, hang on a minute, what is this?
Oh, it's only going really down.
That jingle, of course, signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. There was an animal in the paper today that I've never before seen. It's called an alpaca. They are gormless looking. The fellow who breeds them said they are easy to look after because they're used to harsh conditions because they normally live in the mountains. The problem with this is they will turn useless eventually, and then if we try to bung it back on the Andes, they won't like it. It's like how people win these live like a star for a week competitions. They're not good for anyone. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? If something's living somewhere...
But he's not going to send them back to the Andes. He's presumably breeding them for something else.
Yeah, but say if eventually, you know, the world's getting busy, there's hardly any room, and we go, right, what can we shift here? What's getting in our way that we can shift? Well, those funny-looking things came from the Andes, bung them back. All right, then let's put them back. And they go, oh, they don't like it. They're not surviving, they're dying out. Why did we bring them here? Oh, it was closer. Yeah, but look, we've died out now of the...
Sorry, this is not like yourself. This isn't happening. Don't get angry about it like it just happened and you're sick of it. None of this has happened yet.
I'm just looking at how it will happen. Leave them where they were.
But you're getting angry about things that you're speculating on now. It's absurd, Carl. Not once have I read here about your anger about terrorism or international, you know, political injustice. Not once have you written about that. Only about the fact we may send animals back to the Andes.
I know, but just because it just annoyed me, that's all. They brought them here. Some fella's getting a load of praise because they brought this weird animal into the country, and yet it's like, well, they were on the Andes for a reason. Leave them there. It was happier there. I mean, I feel guilty when I open a bag and a fly flies out of it, and I think, where's that come from?
What bag are you opening with flies? What bag?
No, just when, like, you know, the bag I took the computer home in, a fly flew out of it, and I thought, when did that get in that bag? Wherever brought that from? And it's the same thing. It doesn't want to be somewhere else. It was where it was. And that's the same with this Polaco, or whatever.
Great news. Get $25 cash back on the purchase you just made. Sign up now.
It's amazing. It really is the ramblings of a madman, isn't it?
Some new sea thing has been found.
That's the headlines on the news.
It wasn't found by sea experts. It was found on eBay. Someone was selling it for $5. I don't see the point in buying something that you don't know what it is.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It was...
Someone's found some sort of shell with a thing living in it.
Right.
They thought, oh, I've never seen one of these before, I can flog it on eBay. Someone bought it and then wanted to look after it, went to some sea expert, and they said, oh, I don't know what that is. That's the story. It's just weird how
now you can get up to
being found on eBay.
Cash
no, it wasn't found on eBay, though, was it?
Yeah, but that's where the specialist people sort of picked up on it. It's just weird that I mean, all I was saying is I wouldn't want one. If you don't know how to, if it's a new creature, you don't know what makes it happy. When you get a kitten, you go stroke its head, loves it, right? And you can do that knowing that it's liking it. If I had a little seashell and you go, does it sit in water? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? You could end up doing more damage. So that's why I wouldn't want it. It's nice to have rules in it. It's nice to know what you're doing with something.
Well, as you write in the diary, it's like if an alien landed and wanted to live with you. As much fun as it might sound, it wouldn't be long before you got annoyed with it because it wouldn't eat the food you gave it.
That's what I'm saying, but I couldn't have a go at it because it might not like pasta.
It might not.
Everyone likes pasta.
Wow. That's it for another week. I hope you've enjoyed this half hour of drivel. I mean, some of the most stupid things ever said. I mean, it's like he's got a contempt now for the world. Like, he doesn't care what comes out of his head.
Learning can be frustrating, can't it? You know, you maybe I'm getting you thinking, maybe on your way home today you'll be going, octopus with two heads. And if you do that for 5 seconds, I've done my job.
Good to have a job in it. So, from me, Ricky Gervais, goodbye. From Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And from Karl Pilkington.
This is Audible.
Hello and welcome to number 4 in the series of 6, season 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show, with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry to do this, but me and Steve have got to bring something up that's been bugging us for a couple of weeks now, but it's reached... you are so fucking lazy, Karl, at the moment. You have time off... Right, you go away every weekend, so me and Steve are so precious at the moment with so many things to do, with extras and books coming out and stuff. I've never heard anyone whinge about going in with kidney stones. I know loads of people that had kidney stones.
Not like
They've
mine.
had no, you say not like that because they've had the operation. I know people that had their appendix out, right, an actual under the knife operation, and he was back at work the next day and he had a bit of a sore side. But you have whinged now for weeks and weeks, everything you say, oh, I've had this, oh, I've got to go in again. But you're still well enough to go away every weekend to see your folks or your in-laws,
this is the problem.
or a holiday. And it's just like, we are so, you know, sometimes you've got to pull together, mate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you say keep a diary, and you said make sure you do a diary for a year.
Yeah.
If I didn't go and visit people and travel the world, what would I do in it?
Karl, I read your diary every week. All you seem to do is spend time in a cafe, having a cup of tea and a bit of breakfast.
That's the
Who
weekend, that's
are
when
you
people do
constantly
stuff.
visiting?
Anyway, let's not argue.
You don't even
People
like
know
your
what we're
family, I
arguing.
thought.
It's not my family, is it?
Well,
Suzanne's family.
you don't like
But
anyone.
work.
Why are you visiting?
But you say I'm working that weekend. I'm working that weekend. We have to put. Let's put this in first. You know, it's a busy time.
Family's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't keep messing people
But this
about.
is all you have to do.
What else are
there's
you
loads of
doing? What other job have you got?
Loads of
you
stuff.
know.
I don't want to go into what I'm doing, but I've got loads
But
of
all
stuff.
I hear is you're always having meetings.
I
You're
know,
always
yeah.
going from meetings.
Yeah, I know, yeah,
I don't know what that
yeah,
means,
yeah,
meetings.
yeah.
Right, anyway.
Another meeting in a bloody cafe.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
well.
no, seriously though. So, you've been on your travels, you've got lots to talk about, so...
Yeah, I've got to go in hospital again as well, haven't I? So,
What's your current state with your old...
I don't want to go on about it.
Well, no, I mean, you brought it up.
You're fine, you're well enough to go away, you're well enough to go on holiday, you're well enough to visit people, you went on a train, you went to Manchester, you must be well enough, so you're well enough to do this.
I went back to Bristol at the weekend. I had a bit of time off, as you know, because Karl couldn't do the work. So
I know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So we all had a nice time.
No, I didn't. I went to Bristol when I was working.
That's all right. But
Well,
it's
exactly.
still visiting a place, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's a ridiculous thing to say. That's like saying a pilot doesn't work because he's visiting a place.
No, because he doesn't visit it. He
No,
doesn't
you
get out
sit
of the
down
plane.
on your arse. Sometimes you hire a car, so you can't be reading or studying. You're driving for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I went there working. We went to America, we were working. I went to Bristol, I was working.
Oh, shut up.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
Getting a bit uppity.
The truth hurts, Stephen.
The truth does hurt, and it's interesting that
Yeah.
he suddenly snapped at you there.
I know.
Because I wondered to myself, if it weren't for you, Mr. Ricky Gervais, what would this man, this little round-headed man, be doing right now?
Fuck all, Stephen. Fuck all.
Yeah, I went back to Bristol at the weekend. As we know, we all had a bit of time off, and Actually, I was quite annoyed because I passed the pub near where my parents live, and they had a band on. You know, pubs sometimes have a band on. And the name of the band, I'm disappointed that I missed them. The name of the band, Rick, was Loose Change. But what I like about Loose Change is it's the least evocative name for a band, isn't it? It's not
amazing.
sexy, it's nothing. It's got no kind of mood or feel to it at all.
Loose change.
It's
Welcome, rough outline.
yeah.
It's just nothing.
The checkbook stubs.
Pocket fluff.
yeah. But while I was at my parents' house, they often, they keep clippings of things, if we've been mentioned in the papers, they like to keep a record of them and stuff, because, I like to show it to my grandparents, and keep fully abreast of things. And, I managed to find a couple of them. This is what, I don't know if you've heard this, Carl. It's, for people who don't realise, Carl was making a couple of little 3-minute TV projects recently that were on Channel 4. And in the Sunday Times, someone's written a letter about Carl to the Sunday Times.
Wow.
They can send in comments and views on things they've seen, read, heard.
Oh, excellent.
And this is what someone wrote to the Sunday Times. Who is Karl Pilkington? And why have I just wasted 5 minutes of my life listening to some of his cretinous thoughts on Channel 4? He asked, why are there so many dinosaurs on display in museums? Quotes, couldn't they just choose the best one and just show that? He summed it all up by deciding that we know too much. Somebody clearly doesn't know enough to know that this is a complete waste of airtime, showing no wit, intellect or creativity. That's from Wendy Robinson in Berkshire.
You can't have your critics. You know what I mean?
You've got to have your critics.
Of course you have. If everybody liked what you did, then you're not doing the right thing.
She wasted 5 minutes, and they were 3-minute wonders, so it must have felt...
Yeah.
2/3 as long again.
But think how angry she must have been to have bothered writing this letter to the Sunday Times.
Well, that's good.
I mean,
though.
you
It's made her
really
do
must
something.
have-
It's all about getting people thinking. That's what I always say to you. As long as I'm getting people thinking about what I've said, she remembered what I said.
But what views did you put out in these short films which you feel people perhaps should be talking about, discussing, digesting, thinking about?
Just stuff that was in my head that day when I was filming them.
Yeah.
Is it in your head now?
Some of it is. Now you've remembered me what I said.
Now you what?
Now you've sort of told me what I said in that one. Yeah, I remember saying that.
Yeah.
And I stick by it.
Remember him some other stuff?
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, right? This, if I don't know if Wendy's, listen to this. But,
Almost certainly not.
But listen, right? I was saying about the museums, right, and how they're big and everything, and they've
Brilliant.
got dinosaurs all over the shop. I read that in that museum, they've got something like 7 million bits of stuff in there, right? Now, when I spend 2 hours in somewhere, just show me the good stuff. Don't be saying we've got 7 million bits. Because there was a fella who opened it, right? I did a bit of research on the museum. Fella who opened the museum up.
And what was his name?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, does it?
What museum was it?
It was the London one.
Oh, the London one, yeah, okay.
So he's in there and he's collecting all this, bits of stuff.
What stuff?
Just whatever's knocking about at that
Oh,
time.
right, okay.
It seemed like
You have researched it.
he never chucked anything away. He's like, I won't put it in the bin, pop it on the shelf.
Okay,
right? So
yeah.
he's put everything on a shelf in
right,
this
yeah.
museum. Then, as time
I
went
think you're
on,
going into too much detail, but just give us the gist of it.
No, but all I'm saying is, he keeps everything, and if you keep everything, sometimes it'll be good stuff, right? And a lot of the stuff was going missing, the good stuff. But people who set these museums up are just as crafty.
What?
The fella who found Tutankhamun, he was pocketing all sorts of fingers and stuff in his pockets on the way out. That had rings on them and stuff. So all I'm saying is, why is she having a go?
But
She's
hang on,
learned
wait,
something.
what's that got to do with someone pocketing? I don't understand your point.
Because she's sort of moaning at me, going, "Don't have a go at the museum and the dinosaurs." But
No,
everybody,
she's having a go at your fatuous point.
Yeah, you're absolutely uneducated,
But,
stupid point that you got TV time to talk absolute shit, if I could
that's not
paraphrase
my fault. is
Wendy.
it? That's not my fault. If someone says they want me to do a little programme and you can do what I want, I went and did what I did. Free speech, innit?
But we just gave you the chance then to defend yourself, and you just confirmed Wendy's point 1,000 times over. What was all this waffle about people nicking stuff? What's that got to do with anything?
Because she's having a go at me. I didn't nick
But
anything.
she's having to go at you for talking nonsense that's of no consequence, which is what you just did
That's
then.
all nonsense.
but what was your point?
All right, then we'll watch Wendy's little programme when that goes out. Let's see what she's got to talk about. Sick of her.